In this video, we will look at how we can leverage Private Console Access feature in AWS to connect securely to the AWS account. First, we will start by creating VPC endpoints for AWS services like Console, Sign-In, SageMaker API, and SageMaker Studio as shown here. Next, we will modify the endpoint policy for the sign-in service to allow access only to a specific AWS account via the private access setup. Now we create two private hosted zones, namely Console and Sign-In. We then add A records pointing to the VPC endpoints created previously. When the user tries to access his personal AWS account inside this private setup, he will be seeing this error message and won't be able to log in. Now let us log into the allowed AWS account via the private setup in Research Gateway. If the user is logged into the AWS console via the private access setup, he will be seeing this lock icon. When he tries to access any other service not explicitly allowed in the IAM policy, he will be seeing an API error. In this setup, we have allowed user access to only SageMaker service, and the user can access the service and perform his tasks. As you can see here, all the actions available in the SageMaker service is allowed. However, we can control the access the user will have by modifying the IAM policy. Next, we will try and access the AWS console outside of the Research Gateway and see if we have access to any services or actions. As you can see, the user will be shown API errors since the user has logged into the AWS console from outside the Research Gateway and Private Console setup. Now let us log into the AWS console via the private access setup in Research Gateway and try to access SageMaker Studio. Here we have also integrated Azure Active Directory with Research Gateway to log into the AWS via SSO. The user will not have access to create a new domain for the SageMaker or to create a new user profile to access the SageMaker Studio. The user will only have access to the user profile created by the admin for him. Once we click on the SageMaker Studio button, we will be taken to a new tab where the credentials are automatically verified and the user lands on the SageMaker Studio UI. Here the user can spin up a Jupyter Notebook to execute his tasks. I have already created a Jupyter Notebook workspace and will now connect to it. This action will open a new tab and bring up the Jupyter Notebook UI. As you can see here, I've already run some test code in the Jupyter Notebook. These are the multiple files created after I have run the test code in the notebook. Thank you.